There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday live at 5 on the Evil Thing Network, Rumble, X, YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire or Roy Bleckert on all those, and you'll get my nice, smiling, shining face. What a day. New release of video from J.D. Vance, Vice President Extraordinaire of the United States of America, on the ICE shooting. And now we got a good look at Becca Good, the wife, husband. This is getting ridiculous. Two women married, and which one's a wife and which is a husband? I guess should be wife or wife, I would think, but who knows? We got a crazy mixed up world. Anyway, she got her badass on, telling the, I believe the ICE officer who is shown here, you want to come at us? You better get some lunch, big boy, is what Becca Good told the ICE agent just a few seconds before Renee Good was shot to death by the aforementioned ICE agent, standing in front of her car. In that, we've got much more video to come through on this. Esasayli calls Gavin Newsom a fraud. Nothing could be further from the truth. No drought in California, anywhere, in any square inch, any square centimeter, any decimal point of California. No drought ever, anywhere in the land of the borders inside the state of California. Hasn't happened in 25 plus years. I wonder how they're going to jack the water rates up on us some more on that. Harmeet Dillon, the Assistant U.S. Attorney for Civil Rights. Somebody said illegals are getting, this, that, and the other for family leave, family to this. And she says, for what? Duh. Boy, we got a lot of work to do on this stuff. New video and evidence coming in of how people think they saw what they saw, but the videotape evidence doesn't show it. Get to the video that was just released by J.D. Vance, coming up, and lots of other people. I think Alpha News has this particular clip that we're going to show you coming up. Here's the first part of it, or this is close to where, now this is Becca Good, if you want to call her Anderson, Becca Good, who was attempting to get back in the car before Renee Good gassed it up with the ICE agent with his gun drawn, pointed at her, and that was the last thing she saw. But here we go.
Get out of the car. Oh!
That was, I believe, John Ross, the agent that fired the shot, saying, you effing bitch, as she's driving, or, well, the car was driving away. I think she was probably gone from this world at that point. But here's some more of it, starting from the beginning. There you hear the sirens and the commotion coming up. There's Renee.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you. It's okay. We don't change our plates every morning.
So they had Missouri plates on the car. That's where they were from. They went up to Canada for a year. They came back to Minnesota. Looks like that. So obviously ICE agents are going to think, well, what's this Missouri plates? What are they doing here? Why you got Missouri plates on your car? Yada, yada, yada. Since they're blocking the ICE agent's vehicle, they've been agitating, not protesting, agitating up to this point in Minnesota. So here we go.
Oh, it'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen.
U.S. citizen, you're full of F. That's Becca Good. Little Miss Badass we're seeing over here. least Renee said when the cop or the ICE agent walked by her, well, we're not mad at you, but who knows? We haven't seen the footage of before. But she was trying to play it cool. Here we go.
You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I said go get...
You want to come at us? You want to come at us? Here's the big quote, and we had the deal of it. You want to come at us?
I said go get yourself some lunch, big boy.
I say, go get yourself some lunch, big boy. She's giving the come on. Like, hey, come on, I'm badass. Come on after me. Now she's attempting. Now you see, this is key. You see Renee has the wheels pointed away, or if she was to take off, she would have went the opposite direction of where she had the wheels turned when the officer fired. I believe at this point, the officer is not in front of the vehicle, it appears, because this is supposedly a conversation in the body cam footage from John Ross, the man that fired the fatal shot on Renee Good. So he's 10 feet away from the vehicle. Now, Becca Good's going to attempt to get back in the SUV.
Okay.
So you're hearing the other ICE agents say, get out of the car. She's attempting, she is disobeying a command. They're telling Renee to get out of the car. She's trying to get back into it. So she grabs the door handle. It's locked, supposedly, from what she said in later testimony. There, now, the ICE agent has walked around, and it's obvious, if that's his body cam footage, he is standing directly in front of the car. We have more to show you on that.
Oh!
There's the shot. Boom. You can, that's almost conclusive evidence right there that he definitely was hit. Because you can hear him, oh, boom, he's jumping back. There you hear him say, I believe, you effing bitch. You wouldn't say that normally or in any other time if you were not hit. That would be a typical reaction from that. Here's a close-up of Renee Good sitting in the car. You can see her hands. You can see her facial expression. She was looking directly at the cop when she gunned it. Because she had backed up at this point. When she put it in drive and was going forward, she's looking directly at the cop. Lock, stock, and barrel. The rhetoric, and we're going to get into what some of the people said and what some of the witnesses said, and what they swore up and down, and CNN's putting them all on, oh, they're doing this, that, and the other. But this is the danger. Here's a bigger close-up. You can see she's looking directly, that's the cop body cam footage. You can see her facial expression. She's looking dead at him when she's getting ready, because she's turning it back from the left to the right, to the center, and to the right. Mind you, Becca Good is trying to get back in the SUV. This is all not consistent with somebody who just wants to get out of there, who just wants to do that. She's been there 3 minutes blocking in front of an ICE vehicle. They don't know she's got a bomb. How do they know that she's not got a bomb or an explosive in that SUV or something? First, she was impeding or trying to block. There's plenty of cops there. There's no reason for her to be blocking no roads after they've been agitating all up and down the line in protests earlier. They knew what was going on. They knew what they were doing. Becca Good, who's got crocodile tears, oh, it was my fault. I told her to do that. Well, yeah, you both were out there. Get into more of this in a bit. Some of the eyewitness testimony and how they swore up and down this is what happened. And CNN says, oh, this, without showing them what really happened. This is absolutely a crying shame. 1,000%. We're going to hit more of actually what happened. We have a lot more videotape going on. And this is it. So this is some of the first tapes we saw. See if we can get everything working right. When it was, here's some of the original tape. There's them showing up. There's the ICE officers coming out. She says, I'm pulling out. I'm pulling out.
No! No! Shit!
There you go. So when we get to the eyewitness testimony, this is going to be critical. Because we have new footage, as it shows, of him clearly standing another one. It's grainy, but that was shot from the other one, and that's enhanced. But he is standing directly, almost in her line of sight. There is no question about this. But this is what you hear from eyewitness accounts on CNN. Not once, but twice. Here we go. Here's one of the witnesses who's speaking out, who was walking on the opposite side of the street where most of the people were walking her dog. This is what she said.
At this time, her car was diagonal on Portland Avenue with the front of her car facing toward the southeast intersection. I could tell from the movements of her hands, she was endeavoring to kind of adjust her car so it was facing south. And as she began to...
She knew, she could see her hands moving and her facial expressions and everything else would catch this.
Accelerate her vehicle, what the agent standing next to the driver's side window and who was yelling at her through the window extended his arm and fired his gun multiple times.
The man standing at the side that told her to get the F out of the car fired the shot. But she could see everything that she was doing. She couldn't see the man with the ICE agent with the gun standing there. Completely. Nobody even blows her credibility clear out. And this is the thing. CNN did not go back and say, this is a tape. This is a cop standing in front of her, not the guy standing beside. This is Aaron Burnett out front. But she could see her moving her hands and accelerating the car and all that. She couldn't see the guy that actually fired the shot was standing directly in front of her, not the guy that walked up and told her to get out of the car, get the F out of the car, and grab the handle as she's taken off. We didn't see, up until the J.D. Vance release, we didn't know Becca Good was on the other side trying to get in. Why are you trying to get in the car when the cops are telling you to stop, get out of the car, da-da-da? You're trying to get back in. What was going on? This just goes to show how people's accounts, they think they saw something. She thought the guy standing at the driver's side door shot Renee Good. He had no pistol out. He did not shoot her. John Ross, who was standing in front of the car and appears to be hit inconclusively, almost, but they want to go on with, he was murdered. She was murdered. That evil ICE agent. Here's another one at the scene. On CNN again.
Emily Heller is out front now, who you heard there and filmed that in that horrifically traumatic moment. So, Emily, I know you live there. This is your street. This is your home. And you're inside your house. You hear all of this commotion. Everything is starting to happen. Okay, can you tell me what happened then? You hear everything. You come outside, and then what?
I hadn't even gotten dressed. I was making breakfast. I went out. I heard the commotion. I heard whistles, which is a common sign of ICE is nearby. And I went out onto my front porch. I didn't even have shoes on, and
didn't even have shoes on. At the high, you're lucky if it's below freezing, below 32 degrees in Minnesota, much less at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's like in the teens or 0. Your feet would be frozen almost immediately. I don't care if you had it 90 degrees inside.
within 60 seconds, everything had already gone down. But there was an ICE convoy that seemed to be stuck, and then there was a protester who was blocking traffic, so they couldn't progress. And she was totally peaceful, and ICE, it seemed completely unorganized. They didn't.
She was totally peaceful. She's not seeing. She walked outside. She's not hearing Becca Good smart off. Oh, you come after us. You better have your lunch, big boy. She didn't hear any of that, but she heard. She heard Renee say, "Oh, I'm not mad at you," or that everything was cool. But she didn't say the other part of what was going on. Here's some more.
Really know what they were doing. They were
ICE agents are just bumbling Keystone cops that don't know what they're doing. These two, Renee and Becca Good, are just saying. You could see the halos over their head,
screaming at her to move, move, move. And then they approached her vehicle aggressively and tried to open her door. And then that's when she got spooked, and she reversed her vehicle to turn her wheels to try to escape. And that's when an ICE agent stepped in front of her.
Escape? Escape? She didn't say anything about the commands from the ICE agent to get out of the vehicle. Get out of the effing vehicle the second time. Becca Good's on the other side trying to get in the car. According to her, the door was locked. She couldn't get in. We have the new video from J.D. Vance showing directly, she's looking directly at that cop, pointing his .45 9mm or whatever he had right at her, and she turns and gasses it up. Again, Aaron Burnett's not showing zero of the footage that we got, or that she knew she should have known. No, these two ladies we're taken for gospel.
Her vehicle and said stop, and then she was already moving, and then point blank shot her through her windshield in the face.
I can't imagine what it was to see that, Emily.
I don't hear any of the tapes or anything that say they told her to stop. They told her to get out of the car. Get out of the effing car as the ICE agent is grabbing the door, Renee's driver's side door. As now we know Becca Good is trying to get in the passenger side. Now it appears both of them, Becca Good defiantly said, "Come after me, big boy, you better eat your lunch," as she's trying to get back in the car, disobeying the officers, the ICE agent's commands. Sworn officers, once you are in detention, you are to obey them 100%. If you don't, it's going to escalate quickly in almost every case. This case, it escalated to its ultimate conclusion with Renee losing her life.
The way that you are laying this out, though, I just want to repeat and make sure that I'm clear, and please correct me if I say anything wrong. You're saying that what you saw was disorganized ICE, but then when they tried to get her to stop, she got spooked. She reversed her car to turn her wheels to get away, and that was when the officer stepped in front.
They were telling her to leave. They were telling her to move, and then all of a sudden they were.
They did not tell her to leave. They did not tell her to move. Maybe earlier, their last commands were, get out of the frickin' vehicle. Twice. Get out of the effing vehicle. Whether they said that, we don't have any tape. At least I have not heard any tape, even confirming anywhere close to what this woman's saying. CNN has no evidence for it. They do have evidence that what she's saying, a lot of it can be debunked by the evidence we have. This is what we got to watch out for. Because there have been tons of these threats against ICE agents. And us. They say it's those conservatives, those white hillbillies, they're going to be da. Listen to this.
With no cause and murdering people for trying to flee and for obeying a command to leave the area, and then shooting her in the face like that after she drops her kid off at school. We have to show up with guns.
Their last command, you doofus, was get out of the car, get out of the effing car. Now, was it running or not? It's hard to tell. Maybe the car was shut off and she's keying it. You don't know, a-hole over here, thinks you're badass. Now you're going to carry guns? This is why you open carry, close carry. The government should have a compelling right to take your way to keep and bear arms. Because you got assholes like this walking around. Let me play this again.
Drops her kid off at school. We have to show up with guns. We have to. There's no other way around it. I don't care if I don't have a Minnesota carry permit. I'm unarmed right now, but this is the last time I show up to face these guys without a weapon.
This is the last time I'm showing up without a gun to face these guys. And there have been tons of death threats and everything else that's been going on down the line. And this is just an extension of what, no George Floyd, no stopping the insurrections or all this stuff. They're barricading in the cities again. They're doing it in Minnesota. But you got these headlines again. Like the WAPO. ICE agent was shot who was not in the vehicle's path when fired at the driver. Video shows. Video shows. What video are you looking at, Washington Post? What are you looking at, CNN? It obviously isn't, don't believe your lying eyes. We're running a powder keg. And if you don't think they're justified, here's First Assistant U.S. Attorney, former Congressman from the Inland Empire, Bill Esasayli.
Thank you guys very much.
Before
Appreciate
you
it.
go,
Yes.
we all would like to get also your take on what's happening in Minnesota in terms of the protests and the shooting, and just because it could happen here. I mean,
It has happened here.
So
we have had people ram their cars at our officers. I don't know where people got the notion that if you disagree with our immigration laws, it is okay to oppose federal law enforcement. It is not okay. It is illegal. And if you use your car to ram a police officer or a federal agent, they're going to use deadly force. So people need to know this is not a game. This is not a game. Do not ram your car at an officer. If an officer gives you an instruction, comply. No one will be harmed or hurt. But that's not what this is about. You have agitators out there. They're trying to create a situation that causes chaos, and they want to trigger a response from law enforcement because they disagree with our immigration laws. If you disagree with our immigration laws, go to Congress. Congress writes the laws. You do not get to argue with that with our officers on the street. And our officers are fully justified in using any force they need to protect their lives. So,
no truer words were ever spoken. And if these a-holes want to get it on, then FAFO is all I got to say. Go ask Becca.
You got 1 minute.
Go ask Becca Good how her little trip worked out. Or how her little defiance of the ICE officer. Go ask her. Oh, you come after us, big. If you're coming after us, you better eat your lunch, big boy. 2 seconds later, Renee Good was dead. We'll have more of this when, as Sean said, when we join the mighty.
30 seconds.
Of that, but we've run through the line media. They don't do their homework. They don't run the video. They run false narratives. Oh, the cop wasn't. The ICE agent wasn't standing in front of her. Big headlines of that. Oh, who's the witnesses? Their accounts are done. Holy cow! I mean, it's ridiculous what we're going through. Then
Here we go. 10 seconds.
Support America. PatriotSwitch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM. Broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the 4-inch AM band. Join our vast video audience in UVP Network, Rumble X, YouTube. Type in I Newswire, Roy Bleckert. You see my nice, shining, smiling face all over the place, and you can catch our archives on there 24/7, 365, like all that other stuff. Man, that new video from J.D. Vance that he released on the ICE agent and the altercation in Minnesota that Renee Good lost her life. Now we know who Becca Good is. And now we have Becca Good, who's little Miss Badass, who was standing there trying to get back in the car when the ICE agents were telling Renee to get out. She's trying to get back in as Renee's getting ready to hit the officer. And she's up there, yeah, come after us. You better eat your lunch, big boy. This stuff is absolutely ridiculous. We had the accounts, 2 eyewitness accounts with Aaron Burnett and CNN. Oh, nobody, it was the guy that was in the side of the car that shot her. Oh, they were complying completely with the commands, so the other one was saying. No, they didn't say anything. They didn't say that. No, they told her to leave. No, the last commands were, get out of the car. Get out of the effing car. What they would have, she was parked there for 3 minutes. What they told her 2 minutes ago If they probably did tell her to leave. She did not leave. You are not obeying the commands of a sworn officer. And I will tell you, from firsthand frickin' experience, you better comply with the commands of the officer. This is coming from a dude that had 2 357s pointed to both temples of his head by Riverside Police. So, you know what? You don't know how still you can be until you're in that situation. And I'm sitting here talking today, 44 years later, because I obeyed their commands. Even though I didn't have nothing to do with the incident except being a passenger in the vehicle. But, you know, I didn't go, hey, big boy, you know, come after us. You better eat your lunch. If I would have made any indication like that, my brains would have been splattered all over by Arlington and Central Avenue in Riverside, California. So it's like the Eddie Murphy, comedy strip. You know, how to not get beat by the cops. Don't smart off to the cops. Obey their commands. Simple. The disingenuous, the outright lying from the Mockingbird media, the Pravda media, the Gestapo media, those witnesses, they should have been saying, well, here's the video evidence. They're not saying what you're saying, what you are telling us. The guy that shot Renee Good was not the guy at the side of the window. He was standing in front of the car. No, nobody was standing in front of the car. You want to know why I rail against teachers? Minnesota schools shut down. Teachers union, as they say, even Fox. Teachers union demands ICE leave city. No, it's teachers. Teachers are demanding law enforcement leave their city, whose duty is to enforce the law. This is your teachers. How many Minnesota teachers you see out there disavowing this? Because that teachers union is speaking for you. Plain and simple. That is the fact, Jack. So no, I don't want to hear no excuses, no crocodile tears, or no nothing. Unless you're a Minnesota teacher and coming out and saying, no, this is wrong. We want ICE in our city. We want law and order. We don't want a bunch of vigilantes running around saying we're going to be arm killing cops and you and everybody else that's standing in our way. If we want to take over your home, we have a right to it. We want to take over your city, your town, your country. It's our deal. We decide whatever. They're all a bunch of Maduro juniors. That's what we've jacked them up to do. They've been encouraged and egged on by teachers. So, cut the crap. It's absolutely distressing sometimes that we have to endure this kind of stupidity. It's ridiculous. we shouldn't have to, but we do. Here's Tom McClintock explaining a little more in depth of what Bill Esasayli said. The place to fight this out is to the people who make the laws. Congress, your state legislators, your local county board of supervisors, city council, school boards, whatever. You as a citizen don't get to decide which rules that you want to obey and not. That's not how a civilized society works. You don't have teachers out there saying, do not obey law enforcement, get them out of our city. You will have a totalitarian society. You will have a society of chaos. You will have a society of death, murder, and destruction. Here's Tom McClintock on the floor of Congress. Here we go. We thought. See if we can get the audio there.
Federal law enforcement officers in the performance of their duties, why she willfully refused to comply with a lawful order by those officers, and why she pointed her vehicle toward another officer while hitting the gas. Now, I suspect that a great deal of her motivation was exactly from the kind of incendiary rhetoric we hear every day from our radical Democratic colleagues. It is a direct attack on the rule of law. Our ICE officers are enforcing federal law as the Congress wrote it. The Democrats here don't like that law. They object to its enforcement. And they're actively encouraging citizens to obstruct its enforcement. In a nation of laws, the answer is not to obstruct the law, but to change it.
Bill Esasayli's told you that. Tom McClintock's telling you that. You don't like what ICE is doing? You don't like our immigration laws? Then have Congress change them. Have your state change them. That's what a democracy, representative republic is about. Not mob rule. More from the great Tom McClintock.
They are sitting in the very institution that writes these laws. If they believe the laws that enforce our nation's sovereignty are wrong, then they should make the case to change them. And to Ms. Ross, I point out that when the Democrats had the majority and our nation was suffering through the worst illegal mass migration in its history, the Immigration Subcommittee under Democratic control held not a single hearing on that crisis as it unfolded, not one.
4 years, 30 million people illegally coming across the border, causing the strife and degradation of our society that you see today, being a big part of it. Not one hearing in 4 years by the Democratic Party, who was in control mostly of the presidency and in part of the Senate and the House.
I suspect their encouragement of disobedience to the law had a large role to play in the mind of the driver and in the minds of the increasingly violent mobs that our colleagues are deliberately inciting.
The great Tom McClintock again. And that's what teachers, you want to teach, you're teaching the kids. You do not want law enforcement in our communities. That's why they're hollering about no cops in the schools. Instead, we're going to make prisons out of the schools. We're going to put 12-foot high fences with razor wire, and you, the parent, cannot get in to see your kid for 8 hours unless we decide you can come in. This is what's happening in America in 2026.
As Lincoln said to their predecessors, there is no grievance that is a fit object for redress by mob law. How sad these same words need to be repeated here.
We heard the gentleman earlier. And if you're on KMET, go back and look at the archives. He says, we're not showing up. I'm not armed today, but we're not showing up anymore without arms. And that was the crowd that is defending and encouraging lawlessness, dictatorship and suppression of your rights.
Before the House Judiciary Committee that's supposed to be dedicated to the rule of law.
Again, the great Tom McClintock on the House floor saying it as eloquently as only he can. Bill Esasayli has said the same thing. We played that clip earlier. Man, we're in for a heck of a ride, I think. You aforementioned Bill Esasayli. Well, now he was at the Daily Caller doing one of those news briefy things, editorial board thing or whatever. He had this to say about his role, what under his leadership at the Department of Justice California Division is going to clean up the fraud. And what a fraud Gulag Gavin Newsom is. Here we go.
The Vice President announced there's going to be a new person at the Department of Justice who's just going to be focused on fraud. So nobody takes this more seriously than the President, the Attorney General, and myself.
What about the Governor of California?
What about the Governor of California?
And we have posted on iNewsWire. The man for the job is sitting right there. As much as I'd hate to lose him from California, is running the Central District Department of Justice. He should be named. Trump should nominate Bill Esasayli for Assistant United States Attorney in charge of the new fraud division. I know of no other person. There might be one or two, but I don't know of no other person that will get the job done as simply, efficiently, and effectively as Bill Esasayli. You give him, he'll sink his teeth into this like a pit bull Doberman pinscher in anything. He's proven it out here. He's been with us in the assembly. Now as a DOJ man out here in California. This is a guy in, but here's what he has to say about Newsom.
King of fraud himself. Yes, he's now all of a sudden interested in fraud. He has reigned over more fraud than I think we've ever seen in American history. When you look at the EDD fraud, in which they handed out $30 billion to fraudsters, most of it went on to overseas. When you look at the fraud with high-speed rail, they spent over $15 billion. It was supposed to cost $9 or $10 billion. Now they tell us it's going to be $100 billion. They spent $15 billion. There's no rail. Where's that money? I mean, just look at the amount of fraud that's been perpetuated in the Kingdom of California. He is the fraud king.
He is the fraud king. Bill Esasayli. We need the fraud buster. As he's done it, proved it in the Assembly of California as the head man of the California DOJ division, Bill Esasayli. Again, there may be one or two other people in this country qualified. I'm not saying there isn't. There's nobody. There may be a couple equals. There is nobody better that you could put in that position. And like I say, I would hate to lose him from California. But the greater good is to have Bill Esasayli in charge of all of it. And I can guarantee you, he's not going to let California go. He's born and bred here, coming there. He'll move them out. He'll make sure the ish is cleaned up in California. If there's anybody that can, and I hope Trump puts him in, we'll see. Another one, good news. Hopefully Elon Musk is coming back in the fold. Representative Tim Burchett of Eastern Tennessee has been named the Doge chairman in the House. Good news. He's a great man. He'll get the job done. We'll see how that works. But that's another great development coming out of the District of Criminals. With all the stuff that Amy Reichert's been bringing out about the home care and the con stuff that's going on here with the, 27 kids. Oh yeah, we're getting federal money, which is money out of your pocket, oh, the only kids are here are the kids of the people that live in the house or wherever the daycare center is or whatever con is. Harmeet Dillon, in response to Amy Reichert's post, as they say, said, paid family leave for illegal aliens? Leave from what? The jobs they were illegally hired for in violation of federal law? This is insanity. It is. Stupidity. We have let this stuff go far, far too long. To know how far the stupidity has gotten in California. We have a Democratic congressional representative from California that is making the case that too much oil and lower energy prices, electricity, natural gas, water, are bad for Americans. I kid you not. Cheaper gas, cheaper diesel, cheaper electricity. Mind you, California's got the highest in the nation. Cheaper water and sewer bills, which are absolutely ridiculous. Trash off the charts. All said, don't let the cancer of California spread across all the other states. This is the America they see for you.
We don't know if the world's saturated oil market will accept any more oil. This has left great instability, not just in Venezuela, but in the region. And that leads to insecurity for the United States of America.
Jimmy Panetta, a congressman from here, I think he's up in Northern California. You need to pay $5 a gallon of gas like those in California, says Jimmy Panetta. You know, those evil white hillbillies over there in Oklahoma, you know, those ditch bank Okies, they're only paying $2 a gallon. We can't have that. They might be able to actually enjoy life. No, not going to happen. We got to go from $5 to $10 to $20 a gallon of gas. Electricity so expensive you can't afford it. No natural gas. We'll just eliminate the wells so you'll freeze to death in the winter. You'll sweat to death. You'll sweat the sweat will be running off the hairs of your testicles in the summertime because you won't be able to afford air conditioning. That's Jimmy Panetta, a congressman from California who just said this. Unflippin' believable. In another case, Harmeet Dillon, who is in charge of the voter fraud and voting under the DOJ. Here we go.
Under the Help America Vote Act, states are supposed to have statewide, verifiable, computerized systems for verifying that people who are registered to vote in their states for federal elections are indeed entitled to vote. And what you have in Minnesota, which, as we know, is a fraud and corruption-riddled state now, is a system where any one registered voter can vouch for 8 people and say that I know that Bob and Jose and you know Jimmy and whoever and my neighbors, they all live in my neighborhood. And
she forgot Omar. Yeah. Omar said 8 people. Yeah, they're United States citizen. Oh, you can vote, stamp. No, there's no voter fraud going on. Securest elections in history of the world in the whole enchilada.
Big Palisades. This
first time in 25 years. First time in 25 years. Not one square centimeter, one dot, is in a drought in California. Here's the ABC 7 report. Here we go. We thought. Here we go.
California in 25 years.
We are completely drought-free for the first time since the year 2000. Meteorologist Danny Romero is here with a look at the new maps released today. Danny.
Yeah, let's talk about those. These maps are released on a weekly basis, and this is fascinating here. We've, of course, had so much rain in the last few weeks. We've seen the snow in Mammoth and in the Sierra, and now all that weather has completely taken out the drought here in California. Now, today, we talked to a climatologist who...
I don't know why it all of a sudden wants to blank out the page. Maybe they don't want you to see it.
Works on those maps.
It looks like back in 2011 and 2005, there were some weeks that we had less than 1% of the state. So just a little bit of abnormally dry conditions was touching California back in those 2 years. But you're right that this is the first time in quite a while that the state is completely free of any depiction on the U.S. Drought Monitor map.
211%. No, 0 drought areas anywhere. There probably wasn't last year, according to that chart. If they're saying there's no drought, that means we couldn't even phony up the statistics. To make it that way. Zero areas of drought, first time in 25 years. Over climate change, global warming, we're all gonna die. It's gonna be worse. The Oklahoma Dust Bowl. It's gonna be a cakewalk to what's coming. Better buy that electric car. We will jack energy prices up, so it just makes your life miserable, and you'll beg. You'll beg for a bowl of gruel and a tent. And that's if you 111% completely comply. We got a lot of good things going on. Fraud department coming in. J.D. Vance releasing the true stuff. We're actually getting our message out and the truth out on all these ways. They can't stop it. So there are positives, but like I said, this is why I was warning like that dude that says, hey, we're coming with arms. You better get your badass on in 2026. Because there are going to be times when things are going to get hairy. And you better be prepared. We shall see, but I believe it's going to be one wild ride. Hang on tight, as they say. That'll do it for this week. As we usually say at this time, mandatory you're back here in 71 hours wide. You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Till then, see ya.
The proceeding was a paid.
All right, Roy. Have a good weekend.
You got her.